Welcome to another edition of ATL Prime Sports. What a week in college football. We're going to get into it here with our college football rundown. We just saw the latest top five. It'll be Georgia, Michigan, TCU, USC, and Ohio State is number 5. And it looks like Alabama's not going to be in the playoff, even though they're humping Tennessee at 6 with the Volunteers at 7. No team has ever made the playoff if they're below 6. So we shall see. Welcome to another edition of ATL Prime Sports. Like I previously said, I'm Todd. That's JJ. He's Wayne. And our guest is David Walker of the Rebel Walk. You can catch us all at Twitter, at myself at Corder Todd, and Wayne at RWY Jr. JJ at JJ Get You One. All of us at ATL Prime Sports. David at David Walker QB. And of course, you can get him at the Rebel Walk. You can also find us on Apple, Spotify, Twitter, obviously. Like and subscribe, and you can also find us on the YouTube version when it comes out. Let's go ahead and get ready to go, fellas. Let's talk about the college football this week, last week. We'll go ahead and stay with you, David. What's real close to you, we'll do that first. Definitely got to talk about Lane Kiffin staying. From far away, I wasn't sure if it was going to happen. I know we always, when we answer a question, JJ and I, the first question we ask is follow the money. So tell us the money trail.
It may be. I mean, he played Auburn, played them well. It's one of the best played negotiating tactics that, I'm going to see probably in the rest of my lifetime. He just did an amazing job. And, Auburn contacted him, and he showed some interest because that's what you do whenever you're a head football coach. And then, of course, they thought they were on the road to getting him. And turned out this weekend that he made the announcement that he was going to stay. In fact, they made the announcement on game day on ESPN Saturday morning. So everybody was really relieved about that. It was our stance throughout that Lane wasn't going anywhere. Lane has family. His mother and father are in Oxford. His daughter is at the high school there, and word is she sent him a letter that she wasn't going with him if he went to Auburn. His son's coming in, going to be a quarterback at the high school. So a lot of different reasons, plus he's building a program, and a very stout program. If you've been looking at the transfer portal, my gosh, there's so many players in it already, and he's king of the portal. So he pulled off $9 million, I think, over 6 years with a 1-year rollover. There is a buyout included in this now in his contract. So I don't know if anybody's going to be, he's still going to be in great demand. There's no doubt about it. But there are things at Ole Miss that he's got to get settled too. He started out 7-0 this year, then went to LSU. LSU's always tough on Ole Miss when they come in undefeated. And ended up 1-4 for the rest of the season. So, and Jackson Dart had a little bit of a fall off himself. So there are some things he's got to work on, some things strategy-wise that he's going to have to take care of. But we're glad at the Rebel Walk. We're just happy as we can be that he's still at Ole Miss. No doubt about it.
JJ, I tell you what, from our perspective, well, I don't know what you thought, David. I'll let JJ answer first, then you, then myself, and Wayne. They lost 3 of the last 4 games. This was a team that had a shot at the playoff, and they fell apart at the end. Critics are going to say that Lane Kiffin was a distraction to the football team. Your thoughts on that first, JJ?
Yeah, I guess it would have to be. I'm not in the locker room, and David's got his ear to the ground more than we do. But I, as a former player myself, I would have to say that had to have been a distraction, and it has to be on your mind. So maybe that is, but there's no excuses at this level of college football. You're supposed to win these games, and Lane Kiffin's supposed to get his team ready to play despite having all these distractions that's supposed to be on Lane. And I'm sure he would take that one. And honestly, if you talk to him privately, he may tell you, yeah, I may have dropped the ball the last couple of weeks there. But I think overall, I think you look at Ole Miss as a whole, they would say, we weren't ready to play in those weeks. So I think it's a give and take. I think the answer is probably 50-50 and somewhere lying in the middle.
David, your thoughts on that?
I think, if you look back at 2014, they had the same season. They started out 7-0, and they went to LSU, lost a 10-7 ball game, and went on to beat Mississippi State, but that was their last conference win of the year. They finished 9-3. So you look at this year, it's exactly the same as 2014. You start off 7-0, you go to LSU, you lose, and you end up losing this year, what, 3 of your last 4 conference games? After the LSU game. I mean, the only win in there is at A&M. And they were in the middle of a 6-game losing streak. So it was still a big road win. But, a lot of people expected Ole Miss to beat Mississippi State at home. I mean, they were favored and didn't pull it off. And so a lot of people are going to blame that situation on the situation with Auburn. And it's just all a part of negotiations. And, I mean, my gosh, did you see what Liberty did whenever word got out that Hugh Freeze was going to Auburn? They're 24-point favorites over New Mexico State and lose by 3 touchdowns. So it does affect kids, there's no doubt.
You know what, though? When I look at it from afar, and that's all I'm looking at, it is from afar. To me, Clinton, obviously, it was about getting the extension. It is always about the money. He probably didn't think he had the extension. That were thoughts maybe he was going to Auburn. But I think if he had nipped it in the bud 3 weeks ago and said, look, I'm staying, we're going to work this thing out financially, we're gonna do this, I think a lot of it went away. And I honestly, truly believe Ole Miss might have won a game or 2 more. That's my thoughts from a far away perspective. Your thoughts?
And very valid also. I mean, valid thoughts. Things could have been handled differently. We were always in his corner that he was going to stay. We just don't believe Auburn's the job that Ole Miss is. Maybe it can be, but right now it's
lateral.
And there's just no reason for Lane Kiffin, who we all know may be going to Alabama when time comes. So Auburn wasn't a good fit for him in the first place. But he played his cards. He got done what he wanted to get done. You look at next year's schedule, he got a lot of work to do. I mean, they start off with the 3 teams that beat them this year. They have Alabama, they have LSU, they have Arkansas. So, I mean, those are the first 3 games out of the gate. And then later on in the season, they have to go to Georgia. So, I mean, they have a lot of stuff to look forward to that they better be ready for.
JJ's going to have a conflict with his mother when LSU plays Georgia next year. Wayne, your thoughts? You're an Auburn guy. Were you wanting Kiffin or were you wanting Freeze?
Actually, I would like to get rid of the boosters and the alumni before we do anything.
And you wanted Cadillac to stay, right?
Well, I think it would be better if he would have stayed for like maybe 2-3 seasons, let him pay off all those coaches that they're still paying, and then, go after somebody. Or if Cadillac Williams did good, just keep him.
Well, Auburn's kind of like the government. They just got endless money and endless debt. So they'll continue to be in coaches' debt like we're in debt as a country. Speaking of Auburn and Hugh Freeze, he is coming to Auburn. We have mentioned that. Stars in the SEC West. I mean, good Lord. Look at the coaching stars in the West. Kiffin with Ole Miss. Saban with Bama. Now Auburn has Freeze. LSU has Brian Kelly and his Southern Iced Tea. We've got Mississippi State and Leach. I'm missing Arkansas and
Pittman.
Thank you, Pittman. Yes, I'm glad you said that. Pittman, thank
you.
Turn
on that jukebox, baby.
Cold beer.
So stars are lined. The coaching in this West may be the best in the country. I think it spells patience, parity, and you better have some poise because every Saturday is going to be a struggle, isn't it, JJ, in the West? Nobody's going undefeated, not even next year. I'll get that.
Yeah, not even next year. And we haven't even talked about the elephant in the room that there is still legitimacy to Oklahoma and Texas coming in next year. That has been put on the back burner for the season. And remember, they're going to pull it off and put it on the front boilers. and they're going to talk about it this offseason with UCF and Houston and the other 4 coming into the American Athletic, or from the American Athletic to the Big 12. This is really going to change things. So you could throw in there in the SEC West, possibly you could have his name's former offensive coordinator. I'm blanking on his name. Sarkisian. Excuse me. You could have Sarkisian to add into that mix. So absolutely lots of talent, and you're right. Week in and week out in that league, whatever the SEC decides to do, pods, no divisions, play everybody, it's going to be a tough slate. That's a lot of talent, a lot of talented players, a lot of talented coaches, and
buckle up.
Yeah, buckle up. The new SEC is going to be something else, I tell you.
You know what? I know one thing, David. I mean, I kind of look at the paper trail of Auburn and coaches, and gee, isn't Arkansas State kind of a common denominator in there? I mean, we had Kara Ritchie on, who covers Arkansas State and Jonesboro on ATL Prime Sports, as we're with David Walker here on the show, our guest from the Rebel Walk. And I mean, goodness gracious, I mean, the connections to Arkansas State is tremendous.
Just has been. I mean, it's becoming one of the coaching cradles, I guess, of the Southeast, isn't it? I mean, it's just amazing. And they always have a really good program there. I remember when Mike Sherman first came to A&M, I guess it was 2008. His very first game was against Arkansas State at Kyle Field. And Arkansas State came in at 17-point underdogs and won the game. Shut A&M out in the second half. So they've done some great things and had some great coaches there, and definitely the cradle of the South right now for coaches.
A Sun Belt Conference. We have Dave Cohen, the voice of the Georgia State Panthers, quite a bit here on ATL Prime Sports. Wayne, one final swing at the bat. You got Hugh Freeze coming to Auburn. You're an Auburn guy. You got to be pretty excited. I mean, I know there's baggage and all this stuff, and I don't care to talk about the baggage on the show. I just want to talk about football. Wherever this guy is gone, he has won.
Yeah, well, I would say this, regardless of what's happened in the past, winning solves everything. So if he wins, everything will be all right. If he does not, then I guess we'll find out how interested the Arkansas State head coach is to come into Auburn.
That's right. She said that too. Kara said that on Twitter. She said so-and-so will be the next Auburn coach in 27, 28.
Is that Jeremy Pruitt?
Gee whiz. That's hilarious. I tell you what, another coach I'd like to get your opinion on, David, is Luke Fickell to Wisconsin. Luke Fickell turned down the Oklahoma job last year, and with Harson's offseason, he was rumored to go to Auburn too after the college football playoff berth. And then when everything settled down, obviously he stayed. But what do you think about Fickell going to Wisconsin? I thought that was surprising compared to the jobs he could have had last year.
JJ, I did too. I mean, I don't know the rationale behind that. I mean, I really don't. And Cincinnati. I played with Glenn Bujnock, who played for the Bengals, and both of his sons both went to Cincinnati and played for Cincinnati in the offensive line. And of course, he played for 8 or 9 years for Cincinnati in the offensive line, and really good program. I mean, Fickell's done a heck of a job there. And what was surprising that he would leave this year after turning down what he turned down last year, as you said, and for Wisconsin. And I've got to do a little more research into that because I don't have an answer for that. I really don't.
That question, he wanted to stay.
That's why I do this, because I'm the same way. I felt like he had several outs and opportunities. Heck, there was rumors Southern Cal wanted him last year. So that is very – and look, I mean, he has a similar record right now to what Paul Chryst had at Wisconsin, and that got him fired.
And he was also – coach at Ohio State in the intern year when Michigan beat him in 2011, but that's not fair to him. Ohio State was 6-6 that year. But I'll answer the question, gentlemen. It's knowing your roots and staying where you are. He's a Big Ten guy. He's a Midwest guy. Wisconsin's a power running school. He likes a power running offense. And, as bat crazy as this may sound, if Ryan Day doesn't beat Michigan in or doesn't beat him in the next 2 years, Fickle could go to Ohio State. It's a much easier transition. As crazy as that sounds, a guy goes 45-5, and some nutballs want Ryan Day out of there because he loses to Michigan twice in a row. This is an absolute bat crazy world, and that would be my answer to it. Hey, JJ, I got to ask you a question. Brent Key to Georgia Tech. You've been telling me since the cows have come home, and now the cow has came home. You got your way.
Look, you got to look at, yes, Georgia Tech had probably every opportunity because they were one of the first teams to fire their coach in the early part of the season. I think they fired him in week 3 or 4. And they had to jump on this thing. And I think after the very first win, right after Jeff Collins is fired, and he gets that big win at Pittsburgh, that really opened the eyes of people saying, we got guys on this team. They just weren't getting it from Collins. And I've mentioned that on this podcast before. Sometimes you just need a new teacher to tell you how to do it differently. And that's exactly what it seemed. I mean, they were 4-4 under Brent Key. And I think they gave him the keys for 2 reasons. Georgia Tech guy, Saban stamp, and he knows the area. And you're still paying for a former basketball coach if you're Georgia Tech, Paul Johnson, and Jeff Collins. So why not just make it an easy transition? And again, we like to mention here, follow the money trail, and Brent Key's the answer. Now, Willie Fritz was supposedly hired or extended the deal, but there wasn't enough money signs for him. He's been in the FBS for a long time. He's been a head coach for a while and built programs up. So he wanted probably a higher salary. And Brent Key goes, this is my alma mater. I can make this happen for much less. Let's do it. And they did. And I am very happy with the hire. As a Georgia fan, I want to see that rivalry on Saturday be closer in 37-14. I want to see the national televised games that I grew up watching in the clean old-fashioned hate. That's one of the best rivalries growing up in college football. Georgia Tech was a powerhouse in the 90s. Georgia was always knocking on the door. And as a fan, I want that rivalry back. So Brent Key's the right move and saves you a couple bucks.
David, in the SEC West, one of the coaches that was involved potentially at Georgia Tech was Bill O'Brien, the offensive coordinator at Alabama. I got a feeling it came down to money for Georgia Tech. That's why he didn't go there either. Your thoughts?
Possibly. I don't know. Let's see. He took the Penn State job for a year, right? And then came down to the Texans.
I was more than a year. He stayed, I believe, at Penn State 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Turned the program down before he left.
Yeah, he did replace Paterno, though, correct?
Yes, he did. He's the one that replaced Paterno. That's correct.
I thought he was going to stay there and build the program and get it back to where it was going to be. And, he left so soon after that. I kind of lost track of him when he went to the Texans. And then, of course, he went to the rehab center there at Alabama under Nick and has had some success. So I would expect that I did hear his name being tossed around for the Georgia Tech job.
And that's sad that he did go to the quote unquote rehab center, because this guy took the Texans to the AFC Championship game. It just seems like every coach who wants to change something goes to Nick Saban and becomes the OC. Becomes the OC.
Look at Lane Kiffin. Lane came out of Southern Cal. Right. And he didn't know what he was going to do next. Really, the phone wasn't ringing, and then the phone did ring, and it was Nick Saban.
What a year it was in college football, guys. Let's go around the table. We got 6 minutes with David. Let's give your game of the year and the playoff prediction quickly. I'll let David go first since he's the guest.
Game of the year coming up?
No, game of the year so far, and then your playoff prediction. Who's going to be in the playoff?
Oh, I tell you what, from our standpoint, I really liked the Alabama-Ole Miss game. I mean, that was just such a tight, tense game, and Ole Miss, of course, was in the red zone at the end of the game, had 1st and 10 on the 14-yard line, a chance to beat Alabama in Oxford, and it was just incredible. and then had 4 downs that didn't do much of anything. So that was a really good game, even though it was on the losing side for Ole Miss.
Playoff game, playoffs.
Playoff games now, I tell you what, you gotta look real hard at TCU this week getting beat by Kansas State. And you gotta think real hard about USC getting beat by Utah. And now if those two things happen, you may be looking at both Ohio State and Alabama slipping into there.
Is that what you think's going to happen?
Well, looking at the spreads that they have out in Vegas, those are toss-up games. I mean, you can't just say TCU is going to win their 12th or 13th, and USC is going to win their 12th, because it may not happen. Utah's got a good football team. Kansas State, even with their backup quarterback, is hot. So we'll just have to see how those games come out. I do think you're Michigan and y'all's Georgia, is that's going to be the final game. I think everybody else is just playing for, Pop-Tarts. But
what do you say, Wayne? We got 4 minutes.
Honestly, I think the only team in the top 4 that is going to lose is going to be Michigan, and that's really going to throw a wrench in the whole deal.
Purdue?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Wayne, you called it first. The year. Wayne did call Purdue to win the Big Ten at the very beginning of this thing.
Wayne, I'm gonna drug test you at the Battery on Thursday.
All right.
Wayne, what was your game of the year, man?
I would say it would be Tennessee at South Carolina, because that was just an eye-opening game and changed the course for 2 teams going right down to the end. South Carolina is going to get a decent bowl game now.
JJ, that was a can of whoop ass. Give me your game in your playoffs.
My game of the year, I'm going to go back to the very first weekend of college football and go to the final game of that weekend, LSU and Florida State. That was the most entertaining game in the last 3 minutes that I can remember. You have LSU, Greg McElroy going, "Oh, if you're Florida State, just let them score. Just let them score." And then what happens? LSU puts the ball on the ground. Florida State, Jordan Travis takes him like 90-something yards all the way down the field, ties it up, and makes the extra point. And they go up, and then the same thing happens. LSU's about to go down. They score with under 15 or 20 seconds and then shank the extra point. And that, my friends, is the epitome of a college football game, and that was the game of the year to me.
And Mike, I got to say real quick that Todd texted me, wanted to know who's going to win that game you're talking about, and you remember that, Todd? I said Florida State's going to win.
That's right.
I said FSU and under in this game.
Yep.
And, because of the Florida State's quarterback, I thought he was a really good one.
Travis,
he showed it.
I got one right.
He's climbed up draft boards this season, especially in the last 2 or 3 games, especially in that Florida game. I'm going Georgia chalk. I think they'll win it all. As long as they don't beat themselves. I think Stetson Bennett, he's elevated his game from last year to this year. He's thrown over for over 3,000 yards. He's right there at the 70% completion percentage. David, you like the QBR stat? He's top 10 in that category. Michigan will probably be in there. I think it's going to be chalk. I think TCU and Utah, I think Utah will drop their second game to USC, and I think that'll be the top 4. And Georgia fans will get their wish from 2007 when we wanted to play the Trojans in the Rose Bowl. We'll get our opportunity right here in the Peach Bowl.
15 years, man. He's going back 15 years. All right, we got about a minute. I'm going to get mine out real quick. The game of the year to me was when Tennessee finally slayed the Dragon in Alabama. I mean, that's got to be the game of the year. And then, of course, the game of the year was when Michigan beat the brakes out of Ohio State in the fourth quarter, ran all over them, threw all over them, and that was it. Now, will Ohio State get its revenge? I say they have a shot at it. I think USC is going to lose to TC. I think Utah's going to get them, and they're going to bully them with a running game. Ohio State's going to be 4. Here we go. TCU will be 3. Michigan will be 2. Georgia will be 1. The national title will be between Michigan and Georgia. And I won't tell you who's going to win it because it's way too soon. David, thanks for coming on so much. We're out of time. I really enjoyed it with you. Who do you think's going to win it all? I never did get that. Then we'll let you go. I got like less than
UGA, Bulldogs, no doubt.
You know, you're making JJ's hat stand up even more than it is right now. David, thanks so much for coming on.
Enjoyed it, guys. Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
And,
Thank you.
We'll talk to you down the road during the playoff. We'll call you back.
Sounds good.
All
See
right.
you guys.
Toddy, take care, David.
Toddy, David
Toddy,
Walker
baby.
of the Rebel Walk. You can catch him at David Walker QB, and you can also get him at the Rebel Walk. Thanks for coming on, guys. Let's go ahead and go to our pick six. We've got the pick six. JJ, take it away.
Take it away. We pick in 6 games with Monday spreads, folks. We're doing the 5 Power 5 championship games, and of course, the Atlanta Falcons. So let's go with it. Number 11, Utah, 9-3 versus number 4, Southern California, who's 11-1 coming into the game. Now, again, we are going from Monday's point spread because this game has been bet severely towards Utah, and I believe Utah is now the home favorite, are the favorite on this game. So USC -3 over-under in that game is 67. Pac-12 championship game at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada, Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fox. And I'll tee this one off. I'll just make it easy. If USC forces turnovers as they have relied on all season, Trojans will get the W. If not, which I don't think, I don't know. I think Cam Rising and company, you know, they could win this game. This is a toss-up. In my notes, I'm picking Utah, and that's what my gut tells me. But what do I do, Todd? I go with the paper trail, and I'm going Southern Cal. There's too much on the line. And Lincoln Riley in championship games is just unstoppable. I don't think he lost a single Big 12 championship game at Oklahoma.
Gonna lose one now. Utah's going to run the football, control the clock, and bully him and play action, pass him. And I've got the Utes and I got the Buckeyes getting in the playoffs playing your dogs. Wayne, next.
Well, I'm taking USC to cover on this one because I think that program's got too much pride to let somebody with a 9-3 record come in there and beat them.
All right, JJ, let's go to the next one. We got about 8 minutes.
Let's do it. All right, so we're going to from the Pac-12 to the Big 12 championship game at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, a.k.a. Jerry World. Number 10, Kansas State, 9-3 versus number 3, TCU, 12-0. TCU's the 2.5-point favorite. Over-under in this one, 61 and a hook. TCU is in with the win, and you're guaranteed a college football playoff berth. I said it. I think TCU. I think it's chalk. TCU. Frogs get them.
They get them, but they don't get them by more than 2.5. I think it comes down to a 1-point game, and Kansas State covers, and they just might win it. And if they do, the question will be, will TCU be in the playoff? I think they deserve it either way unless they get ran off the field. If they get ran off the field, oh no, Alabama will come in and we'll all be crying on the podcast. Wayne, what's your deal?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and go with the Horned Frogs, TCU. They're playing at home, basically.
Good, I can catch you guys now. Good.
Yeah.
Ooh, TCU. Wayne, we're on the same page. We might be on the same page the whole night here.
We'll see.
Yeah, I got USC. I got TCU. Let's go to our third game. The marquee matchup, number 14, LSU, 9-3 versus number 1, Georgia, 12-0. Georgia's a 17-point favorite. The over-under in this one is 50 and a hook. The SEC championship game is at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, at 4:00 p.m. on CBS. Georgia's defense is awesome. We know it. Just over 11 points a game. Their rushing defense is great. Number 1 in the nation, too. 79.5 yards a game. I don't think anything chinks that armor. Jaden Daniels is a little banged up. He's questionable to go. If he doesn't go, it's Nussmeier, I believe. And I don't think LSU is going to have enough in the tank. I think Georgia covers.
That's Nussmeier, and I'll take LSU. That's too many points for me. Georgia's had the perfect season. Brian Kelly and his Southern Iced Tea, they're going to cover. Wayne, we got to hurry up. We got 5 minutes. What do you got?
I'm going to take Georgia to cover on this one because they're basically, again, playing at home. And if LSU wins, their fans will tear that stadium up, and I can't have that.
You know what? You know what? If I catch you all, it'll be because of this week, because I sure am gambling on it. JJ, go to the next one. We got to hurry.
We got time. The Big Ten championship. We know what Wayne's picking. Purdue 8-4, winners of the West versus number 2 team in the land. Hail to the victors. Michigan at 12-0. Michigan 16-point favorites. The over/under in this one is 52. Again, the Big Ten championship game, Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana, 8:00 p.m. Saturday on Fox. I'm going chalk. Think Michigan covers. I think Edwards and McCartney and that whole entire offense, they started to get explosive. I think they'll do much of the same. Michigan covers.
Wayne?
Well, I'm taking Purdue in the points. Again, here we go again. They're playing at home, basically. I mean, how far away is that from Purdue's campus? And I've picked Purdue since the beginning of the season, so I'm sticking with them.
I tell you what, that's a lot of points. Michigan's coming off the high of winning the championship. Last year, they started slowly against Iowa, had a couple of trick plays, and was able to pull away. Purdue has a much better offense than Iowa does. I think this is a 15-point game, and I'll take the Spoilermakers to cover.
Final big Power 5 championship game. Clemson, number 9 at 10-2. Versus number 23, University of North Carolina at 9-3, 7.5-point favorites are the Tigers. Over/under in that one's extremely high at 63. My little betting nugget is take the over in that one. I think North Carolina will score plenty of points, and I think this will be a high-scoring affair. Again, 8:00 p.m. on Saturday on ABC in Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've already given away my pick early. I think it's pretty much chalk. I like the Tigers to cover. I just think North Carolina's defense is that bad, and Uiagalelei is due to have a good game, and I think he will. Tigers.
Go ahead, Wayne.
All right, I'm taking North Carolina and the points here. Again, guess who's playing at home? Basically, they're playing in North Carolina. So, and Clemson, something's wrong at Clemson. I don't think they're going to get it together for this game.
I tell you what, Clemson's offense really struggles, but they're playing a defense that struggles. But North Carolina does move the football. Clemson does have the better defense, but 7.5 is a lot. Heels, baby, they cover.
Wow. I am it's going to be a close meeting after this. I'll give our standings after this. Let's go to the lone NFL game. The Steelers, 4-7, coming into Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Sunday afternoon, playing the Falcons at 5-7. First place Falcons. Atlanta's 1.5-point favorites. Over/under in that one's 42. Tied for first place, I should say. Sunday, 1 p.m. on Fox. Guys, this is a tough one.
Pickle,
give me the Falcons at home. Why not?
Duh. Wayne, go ahead. We'll get over the second. Duh.
Well, I'm taking the Falcons because it's time to keep the sleepy dream alive.
Well, the sleepy dream is really alive, Wayne. They're only half a game out, and they get to play the giant 7-time Super Bowl champion monster for a chance to win first place. But ain't no way they're beating the Berg. The Berg will have more fans down there than the Falcons will on Sunday. I don't care what Pittsburgh's record is. I've got Pittsburgh. They'll win by just 2 on a field goal, and that'll be it. That's the team that's going to cover. Well, that's the end of the show, fellas. I had a lot of fun. Thanks for David Walker for coming on the Rebel Walk. I can't wait to see all your ugly mugs in person on Thursday at the Battery. Wayne will have the furthest to go, and we really appreciate you coming to the ATL, and I can't wait to see you, my friend. It'll be the first time to see you in person.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to add one more note. Stetson Bennett for the Heisman.
I like it. Hey, talking about it. The Heisman is not only on the field, it's off the field, and the mailman always delivers. My final thought of the show is hats off to the United States men's national soccer team advancing to the knockout round for the first time in quite a while. I can't remember the last year they did it. Playing the Netherlands Saturday morning, 10 a.m. I'm looking forward to it.
I'll take the USC quarterback as my Heisman Trophy winner. You two guys have Stetson Bennett winning. Who do you have winning it real quick?
I think Bryce Young should be there. I know he may be a finalist, he may not be, but that would be my vote. I think he's the best player, but we all know it's a popularity contest, and Caleb Williams is the most popular. I think Caleb Williams will win the Heisman next Saturday night.
That's my pick. Who's yours, Wayne, real quick?
I said Stetson Bennett.
Stetson Bennett, you got, okay. All right. Hey, I'm Todd. He's JJ. That's Wayne. I'll see you guys on Thursday. Had a great show. Love you all. See you then. Bye now.
Get you one.